Yet powerful images that we saw last September were not shot by professional photographers.
They were shot by average people who were so moved by what they saw, they had to capture it on film. This is their story.
The September 11th project grew out of an idea by Michael Feldschuh to create a permanent place where people could share their experiences related to September 11th and the aftermath, and to share in other people's experiences by getting a view of what they saw. Walking around seeing the makeshift shrines in the parks, in the bus stops, at firehouses, they felt like this immediacy, this emotion was really important and was really unique to these events, and felt like if there was a way to preserve some of that, that would do a great deal of good.
That was a very scary day, and I just felt like getting my feelings out. And it was very sad and angry for me.
We stood on the terrace, and I told Nyala, let's start praying for the people in there. We thought it was an accident like everyone else, and while we were out there, the second plane hit. It was just a big ball of fire.
We asked people to give us what they thought was important and meaningful to them about the events and what they had experienced, and offered them an opportunity to write some narrative to go along with those photos.
There was a big explosion. It blew our curtains out our windows. Me and my mom and dad ran out onto our terrace, and we saw a really big hole in the World Trade Tower with lots of smoke and fire. I was very scared, but I was very glad I was home with my parents because my school is close to the World Trade Center.
Photography is a medium for people to share their expression. I think when the gallery first opened and we had a few pictures on the wall, people would stop by kind of wondering what it was.
I was wandering around Soho, and I walked in, and a lot of the pictures seemed like my pictures. I thought it was great, very unstructured, you know, the way the pictures are just sort of pinned up, not uniform. It was just something very original. I'd never seen an exhibit quite like that.
I went in to the exhibit and looked at it, and I remember feeling, I cried, just stood and cried, and I remember feeling this sense of, I feel like something I did belongs in this exhibit.
Because people were taking a tremendous amount of strength from sharing their experiences and hearing other people's experiences together. A lot of people stepped forward and said they had images that they didn't know what to do with. They didn't want to exploit them in any way, but they didn't want to hide them either.
When I first put the film in to be developed, I looked at each picture very briefly, and I started to get nauseous and started to feel the emotions of that day in every picture. And I looked at them very quickly. I didn't show them to anybody, and I put them in a drawer, and I didn't want to look at them again. I don't think we're used to seeing that display of pure, raw grief that came out that day.
It was really a kind of selfless project where the organizers tried to be just a megaphone for other people's voices and be as invisible as possible. And the people sharing their pictures also were doing it in a selfless way.
I'm a documentary photographer, was working in Afghanistan prior to September the 11th. For whatever reason it was, I felt I needed to be really involved. I really enjoyed having my pictures up with everyone else's pictures. It made me feel that I was part of the community, and the man's on the street's point of view was equally as important as mine.
I could not believe what I was seeing, and just started taking pictures of people because the buildings seemed to be not my focus. I was just so mesmerized by the looks on people's faces as something I'd never experienced before.
Many of the photos that I took were just taken from my balcony. I took the moment of impact of the second plane hitting with the big ball of fire. So for me that's quite a historic photograph. And I took both of the towers crumbling, each separately, and it wasn't a movie, it wasn't Hollywood, it was happening before my eyes.
We just heard the rumble or a moan. It was really guttural, and I mean, we just looked up and we just started to run. And then I could feel the pressure change in the air. I'm looking behind me, I turned my camera and I just aimed the camera behind me towards the buildings.
The September 11th project grew over the next few months to over 4,000 pictures and stories, and hundreds and hundreds of participants and thousands of visitors who got a chance to see those stories.
I'm really glad that this project existed. I found on that, after this experience, that even people that lived above 14th Street had a different mindset about what happened, let alone somebody that lives in Denver or California, you know, and I hope that by people seeing this project that they can have some deeper understanding of what New Yorkers went through that day.
I had always taken pictures of the towers because I had such an amazing view. I had taken them in all seasons, in the snow, and so I thought this will be a picture of a fire. And little did I know this would be the last pictures I would take of the towers.
The September 11th, the photo project, has put thousands of these photos on display around the country. If you would like more information, click onto this website, photo11photo.org. September 11th, photo.org. Again, September 11th, photo.org.
Well, as you know, Len, 2,800 New Yorkers didn't make it out of the World Trade Center 1 year ago.
The numbers are, of course, staggering, which